I mean, the evidence would be that if you're the only ones with cloaks, then if a visible enemy attacks, it has to have been you. A literal absence of evidence is evidence. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of Vision of Escaflowne. I'm starting to get it. It's Escaflowne, not Escaflowne, because it's named after a giant robot named Escaflowne. Anyway, we don't have any comments to go into, but we do have a board and a board change log. Yes, the board has grown quite a bit because we met a lot more characters. Sorry, that was plural. So, the board change log. I added Alan Shezar. I added Fulkin Fannel. I added Emperor Dornkirk. I added Delando Albato. I added Mole Man. I added two guys that work under Delando. I added the guys serving under Alan. Let's see, I connected Fulkin, Delando, and Dornkirk with a green line. I connected Alan and Hitomi with a green line. I connected Alan and Van with a white line, because they don't seem to be as friendly. I connected Mole Man to Alan, Van, and Hitomi with a white line. I connected Delando to Alan with a white line, to Hitomi with a white line, and to Van with a red line. Of course, I also have notes. But of course, it looks like my first note I left for myself as a placeholder to come back to, and I never did, because it just says, death is the new card in our setup, comma, nothing. So, keep that in mind. My mind was somewhere, did not return to it. Van says, judging from the stars, this is definitely Gaia, which implies that he would be able to tell that he wasn't on his homeworld by looking at the stars. Not for nothing, but I doubt most people on Earth could look up and tell if they were on Earth or not. Were it possible to not be on Earth and think you were, anyways. I hope that they develop Alan and Hitomi's relationship beyond he looks just like Amino. I think it would be obvious that they would, but I watched SDF Macross, where a certain relationship in that show never moved past, you look like my dead boyfriend. So, I would think it'd be an obvious thing, but I have watched shows where it wasn't. So, I'm hoping that it's not. I guess it's a show of either pompous naming convention or the differences in strength, where our bad guys' minions are named Dragon Slayers, versus the king of the country being a Dragon Slayer. It could honestly be either, given that the Dragon Slayers destroyed the best warriors of Fenelia, and the only one that got out alive was the one who slayed a dragon. It's an odd thing that Delando refers to Fulkin as an amateur, with the implication that he doesn't do any of the fighting, but also that he brings Delando to a room that serves as a communications device with the Emperor. Implying what, though? That Delando is in charge, but never receives direct communications from the Emperor? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me to think that the commander of the assault forces doesn't know about and has never been in the communications room before, which is what the scene has to make you think. Because he's like, what is this? That's the Emperor! And what? This is it was like your first time on the mobile fortress? I feel like that's a move that I make a lot in a lot of these reactions. That I say a thing, which seems to be a truth to the show, and the only reaction I can have to it is, the dragon shadow remains and has fled from Fenelia. The Emperor says, and as previously noted, Escaflowne was referred to as a sleeping dragon. Additionally to the conversation, Dornkirk seems to be talking prophecy, but then mentions the destiny prognostication engine, failing to predict the Pillar of Light, obviously referring to the beam of light that teleported Vaughn and Hitomi back and forth from Earth, but also talking about a machine that predicts the future, but did not predict Hitomi coming to Gaia. Again, some of these notes are just about things that happened, but also notes for things to keep on the lookout for in the future, given that I use them as like a control F on my notes to be able to look back at previous words that have been used before. So, like, if I need to look up the Destiny prognostication engine in the future, I'll know that I mentioned it back here. So we know the fort, and yes, I'm using the word fort because obviously I'm drawn as this guy. So we know the fort is on the Asturian frontier, based on the Emperor's orders to the Dragon Slayers. And Alan identifies himself as a Knight of Asturia. But the implication is that we are not in Asturia proper yet. And unlike Fenelia, Asturia is a much larger nation with a bigger force to fight back with. It's hard to tell how big the Zybok Empire would be by comparison. The shots of buildings we see when the Emperor is talking are gigantic, leading me to believe that they hold a large portion of the planet. Or, by my previous guess of them being from a third location, that they might have total control over. Seems like we have another double crossover of shows. Escaflowne and Gundam, we get the lost brother of a main character on a mission to capture the main character's mech on the behest of the bad guy organization. And a little less of an overlap, but we also have a sci-fi flying machine in a far less advanced time trying to reawaken the power of Atlantis, i.e. Nadia and Escaflowne. I have to think that it's a bit telling that Delandu says that the Fenelian king is in hiding. No one mentioned that he had survived the kingdom, or any details of note really. That Delandu mentioned it offhand really gave away that they were guilty. I mean, all of our characters present already knew, but had they not, this guy would have given it away as well. I guess the idea is that he's just showing that he's got a big mouth early, so that we can have it bite him in the ass later. So, an update on the tarot card is that she's dealing them in Celtic Cross layout, but in a different order than I would suspect. In this case, she's dealing the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 4th card. So now we know the Hermit is in their short-term outlook, while the Tower is still in their present, and the Dragon is in their recent past. She draws Death before the tarot cards all get blown away, with no clue where it should go based on how she's dealing. The obvious call would be that it should go in the first spot or the third spot, which would be the Quarant or the Foundation, meaning death comes for the person she's reading for, Vaughn, or that the events of the situation is based on are caused by death, which also makes sense considering what happened in Fenelia. Despite that, Hitomi gets a vision of Delandu attacking the fort, which would imply neither of those positions. It's very hard to deal with the mechanic that the tarot cards are having play, especially when they're shown to us at the end of an episode or things like that. But then she doesn't do them right, right? That I can't read into it because it's hard to figure out what she's doing. But there's also the element of tarot cards are a sham anyway. That legitimately she pulls out the death card and it's like, well, if you're doing this the way tarot cards are meant to, this either implies the death of the person you're reading for, which is one unlikely to happen given the show, but also could just be a motivating factor for the characters. Or two, it's based on the events that you just came from, in which case, oh, that's Fenelia. I can just think of a reason why this card applies. But then we get shown, oh no, maybe it's the death of people who are going to die here at the fort because they're about to be attacked. And it's like, oh yeah, it applies for that too. As it turns out, you can just make things apply to anything you want. My last note here. Mole Man says that the Escaflowne is a... Sorry, I heard him say this, but now that I'm reading it after the fact, YSPANO. Hispano? I think is what he said. Hispano design. Making the fact that it was sealed in a rock that much more confusing. Or maybe not. It was the Mole Man that recognized it. And if it was sealed in stone, that might imply that Hispano was a mole man himself. Thus, it was made underground, sealed in stone, and that's why it was in a rock when we first see it. I should have made a question mark style inflection, because that was a question. That's my idea. That perhaps the Escaflowne is an underground thing, which is why it was wrapped in a rock before, and thus might explain why a mole man recognized it. That said, though, those are my notes. That is the board. And there's not much left to do but to go ahead and hop on in and see if my character here is going to be incompetent or powerful. We will find out.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Again, the element that I don't particularly enjoy, not that I don't enjoy, that I'm not hopeful for when it comes to the show, from the opening, is the element of this, who do you love? Sorry, I thought it was about to be the next lyric. Because it really feels like she's only fallen for Alan, because he looks like Amano. There we go. Yeah, I love you, I love you. And it's just shots of Vaughn and Alan. Now, granted, it's a longer show, right? They could do some character development. But we just, completely we haven't completely forgotten about him. She literally dreamed about him last episode. But the idea that she's going to be so totally in love with these two that it fills the opening of her just regarding them back and forth. I think I made it in my note in the second episode. Poor Amano, who, by the way, is sticking around in Tokyo, I guess with the hope that she's going to come back one day. And in the meantime, she's having a whole love affair with these two other guys. I guess his only hope is he's going to fall in love with the other girl that was helping her. That's what I said. Outlying area. Okay, new card. Oh, I legitimately thought they were actually being attacked. That was an element of the vision overlaying with reality way too much. I mean, we do know that they deployed the forces, but they're invisible, though. Oh, there's always going to be a doubter in the crowd, huh?
アストリアの兵が迷信ごときでうろたえるな。申し訳ない。部下の非礼をお詫びします。疲れているのです。さあ、部屋で休んだ方がいい。お頭どうしたテオ。
森で怪しいやつを捕まえましたぜ。
怪しいやつ。
まさか本当にあの女の言ったことが。
I mean, we did see the guide maps deployed into the forest, but who were they captured? Could it be Van's brother? Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, when they said Diabolical Adonis, I just anticipate to be his plan. I mean, granted, it is a survivor of Finalia.
知り合いですか。
はい、ファーネリアの。ばあ様、やっと会えた。
メルル、ファーネリアは
燃えちゃった。みんな燃えちゃったの。
Yeah, what happened to that big old lady that dragged you to safety?
お城のお侍さんはみんな死んじゃって、生き残った人たちもチリチリになっちゃった。
Alright, Giza, went back to the mountains.
誰もいなくなっちゃった。私、ばあさんも探してたの。ずっと探してたの。
Crazy happenstance, she just wandered in the right direction. But again, we don't know how far away Asturia is from Finalia.
本当に暑い。
お一人。ひどい熱だ。バン、その子も連れてきたまえ。
So do her visions make her sick?
オルケンよ、竜の姿が消えかかっておる。
竜が。
我らの理想の未来図に揺らぎが見え始めた。このまま竜を取り逃がすと、我らの未来にどれほどの影響があるのか予測がつかる。竜を捕らえよう。
I mean, I like the idea of he has like a future device that he can see, and he knows what needs to be done in order to make that future happen.
うるさいな。政治交渉なんか待っていたら獲物に逃げられてしまうよ。
That is a wrench, though. Astoria is an ally of the Zybok Empire.
あんたの作ったステルスマントを使えば我らザイバッハの仕業という証拠は残らないじゃないか。
I mean, the evidence would be that if you're the only ones with cloaks, then if a visible enemy attacks, it has to have been you. A literal absence of evidence is evidence.
すみません。ご迷惑をかけて。
気になさらずに。あの兵たちにお嬢さん方の世話は任せられませんからね。
Yeah, you'd wind up in a Rivas situation.
地球か。お母さん、心配してるだろうな。
母上か。
アレンさんのお母さんって綺麗な人なんでしょうね。
母は私が幼い
I was about to joke when he would say, "Oh, she's dead."
ごめんなさい。
He beat me
いい
to
で
it.
すよ。もう昔のことです。そうですね。母は美しい人でした。花の好きな優しい人でした。
Looks to me like you're picking cotton candy.
しかし、ある日妹が神隠しにあり行方 知れずに。その日以来、母は悲しみのあまり病の床へ。
What a happy place this place is.
妹が生きているならば、ちょうどあなたぐらいの年頃だ。
アレンさん、
どうしたんだろうな。家族の話をするなんて。
アレンさん。
To be fair, he didn't say she looked like you, which would be the real wrinkle in all that.
いい加減なのかな。
この種は。
何？バーン？バーン！
I'm assuming it's evidence of where she must have come from to have gotten here.
城の見回りに行ってきます。
アレンさん、気をつけてください。本当に巨人が来るんです。
何が起ころうと、あなた方を必ず。
I guess at the very least, there needs to be proof of her visions being true in order to believe them in the future.
なんだ王様じゃないですか。こんな地下牢まで足の昼寝の邪魔をしに来なすったんで。
お前、森の民ならグラールの葉を持っているな。
え？そりゃもちろんですが、この葉を知っていなさるんで？
兄上が教えてくれた。こいつなら大抵の毒が中和できるって。
Oh, implying that Meryl is poisoned.
モグラ、抑えてろ。
I got it.
早くしろ。
もう。
Now is it a matter that she ate something poisonous? Well, that seed comes from?
隊長が迷信を信じるとはね。
何のことだ。
この非常配備のことですよ。幻の月の女の言葉が気になったんでしょ。
気になったのは。
I mean, conversely, the invisible guy milfs. Yeah, my guy is crazy. I don't know what to say about that. The invisible guy milfs could march up here, see all these preparations that you're doing, and just decide not to attack.
奴らならな、皆殺しにすれば証拠も残る。ガデス、クルゼードの準備をしておけ。
は、行くぞ。
いつ仕掛けてくる？ディランド。
Yeah, no one expects the crusade. That joke doesn't play as well with the Inquisition.
各自そのまま待機し。かくれんぼはもうやめだよ。
Yeah, we can see him in action at the very least. I mean, you two really need to get over this.
短くて変な髪。服も変。どう見ても猫よね。あの耳、あの尻尾、変なの。
Also, not for nothing, but your crossbows hanging up on the wall are extremely two-dimensional.
が椅子なんだ。なんか怒ってるみたい。何か来る。
もんげ
I mean, also, unfortunately, there's like no time scale to your prophecies.
こんな私のために。バーン様。
Oh, is it like a poisonous briar bush or something? I mean, that'd be great if it actually seemed like you two were competing about anything. From where? You literally collapsed onto dirt. There was no plant. Oh cool, now they're invisible flamethrowers too. I feel like no one's appreciably taking any measure to handle the invisible part. There you go. That's something. I appreciate that. So much bigger though. The licking the lips part though, that was unnecessary.
Escaflowne はどこだ。安心しろ。クルゼードに運んである。クルゼード。この城はもう落ちる。引き際だ。逃げる。仲間がこれほどやられてるのに。これ以上犠牲者を出すわけにはいかん。貴様それでも侍か。
No, he called himself a knight, in fact.
に背を向けて逃げるようなことはしない。ファーネリアの民の仇を討つためにも死ぬまで戦い抜く。死を選ぶ無謀は勇気ではない。バン、君はファーネリア。
I use the element of what's recently going around on the internet all the time. All men want to die in a last stand fight.
この屈辱に耐えることこそ真の勇気。侍の命は人を生かすためにある。それを忘れるな。キヨ、クルゼードに本陣を移す。総員に伝えよ。承知しやした。
And again, technically, it is a knight and a samurai now.
君もエスカフローネもザイバッハには渡さん。アレン・シェザールの名にかけて。おら急げ。このバルブだけだ。さあ急いで。
This really is a Final Fantasy game. I wonder, is this based on a Final Fantasy, or was a Final Fantasy game based on this? I mean, granted. No, actually, Final Fantasy VI did have a bunch of mechs in it too, didn't it? All we're missing is the giant clown. Please don't let me be the giant clown.
一番確実な証拠の消し方さ。あとはいぶり出したエスカフローネを捕らえるだけだ。
アストリアのアレンともあろう男が火に追われてのこのことやられに出てくるかな。
何が言いたい？
城の裏にある断崖の滝。滝の裏には鳥が巣を作るという。敵に襲われぬためにな。
I thought for a moment he was going to have the power of prophecy too or something. That would give him a sense of purpose outside of fighting. And a reason why the Emperor would put faith in him. Or poaching from another country. Alright, so I imagine it's the rocks that are floating.
やってくれるじゃないか。叩き落としてやる。
しかし冬隊ではステルスマントが使えません。
見たものすべてを始末すればよい。
I really did no work confirming there was anybody alive still back at the fort. Alright, it's me versus Alan.
強いじゃないか、アレン。嬉しいよ。
Yeah, considering the ease that the Zybok guide mopes can fly around, this crusade ship is like done for.
人を生かすためにある。バウ！何をする気だ！
It just seems like any of these guide mopes could just come flying in and cut this ship to pieces. Oh, here we go. Dragon mode. It is the thing from the opening. I did call it right.
なるほど。あれがドルンカーク様がおっしゃっていた竜かい。
そうだ、持ってこい。
Yeah, maybe send the other 5 too?
私たちを逃がすために。
しまった！あっ！
I have one major problem with what's possibly about to happen.
すぐには無理だ。穂がやられて火事が効かねえんだよ。
ばあ様。
いいぞ、もうすぐ竜の風が来る。よし、乗った。
Who wins in a fight? Escaflowne or Blue Eyes White Dragon?
久しぶりだよ、竜狩りは。楽しませてもらおうか。
Alright, sorry, I was waiting for the end credits before I voiced my concern and it took a little bit longer for the end credits to actually get there. My major problem with what's going on here is the transferable power scaling of characters. Right. Balgus trains Vaughn, right? But Balgus also trained Alan. So, therefore, Balgus stronger than those two. Balgus got defeated by Zybok Dragon Slayer Mooks, right? So, therefore, Balgus not as strong as the Mook Dragon Slayers. Yet, Alan stronger, apparently, than the Chief Dragon Slayer. It's a circular power structure we just developed.
Escaflowne.
あの時殺しとけばよかったんだよ。
早く知らせなきゃ。
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't see a new card on that screen, but I guess the Hanged Man is the next one. I don't know if that was the Hanged Man or not. I think it was the Hanged Man. I'll have to go back and check in the notes. Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, it's the element of the circular power structure. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't have that many problems, really. That's just an element of narrative. That's the normal thing. I'm not really complaining as a complaint towards Escaflowne. It's just, I like to have, oh, I know this guy is more powerful than that guy, so that when this guy goes on his hero's journey, I know that he's developing up to defeat this other guy. And it seems like that's more of a Van Allen conceit than it is for Delandu Allen. It's just that element that if you're going to use Balgus as your strength example, then maybe he shouldn't. I mean, sorry. I'm about to say maybe he shouldn't have gotten taken out so easily. He didn't really. He was going hand to Guymelf, essentially. So, I guess he did show off his power skill. Sorry, I understand that I am sweeping Balgus under the rug, and I shouldn't be. He went out like a badass. Maybe I'm not comparing him right. Maybe Balgus in a MILF would have been so much more powerful. So, yeah. Also, again, the element is the fact is that Maigu here is fucking insane, and that's not great for him. So, I think he's going to go to the way of most of my character curses. I don't see this guy surviving very long, if he keeps acting this way. Or more specifically, assaulting his own men. That isn't going to pan out well for him. Versus Van's brother, who was obviously being shown to be the smart, intellectual, but also pretty big dude. Like, what the hell is under that giant cape that he's wearing? And again, the most important thing that I picked out from this episode is, again, the element that there is no time scale to Hitomi's visions, which means that she can have a vision, warn everybody, it doesn't happen, they all get lax, she sees it again, and then it happens immediately. Again, we saw, oh god, I forgot her name, Marin, the cat girl. She's gonna get attacked by a flying creature. Now they're on the air in the Crusade. Again, I assume Marin at some point is going to get on top of the thing and she's gonna get attacked by a flying creature. There's no timescape. No time scale. Literally, it was halfway in midday when she calls out, oh no, the fort's gonna be attacked. And then that night, the fort gets attacked. So, assumedly, a bunch of the visions that we saw in episode 1 are going to happen a long time away. So, there's that. Sorry, I think I've done nothing but ramble the entire post episode. So, I think I'm going to have to move on from this and leave everything else to the note section that's going to happen next time. So, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?